Hey guys, and welcome back to the Model Car Cup Series. Well, we're jumping in on our 32nd scale Dale Earnhardt Lumina, and as you can see, I've got a lot of markings on this thing, and there's been a few little issues that I ran across that I did not see when I was in the planning stages. So we're replanning, and I'm going to share some of that with you, and we're going to get started on it, and I'll share some stuff with you. We're going to be looking at some of the engine parts, how we're going to be doing some of those. I'm going to do 2 complete engine builds, and I've changed the direction on the headers and several other things, windows, all of that stuff too. So we'll talk about that, and we're going to get started. And by the end of this video, I'm hoping we have everything, well, not quite everything, but most of the engine and body especially in primer. Stick around, we'll get started. Today's trivia question: Junior Johnson sold his famous number 11 car to what driver? Hey guys, before we get over to the Lumina, I've got a shop card shout out. Normally I would do this on the Hobby Dude 007 channel, but this particular person is a stock car guy. He has been a long time and has a lot of knowledge. I know Pat had been going to the NNL Nationals in Toledo for many years, in about the 13, 14 years in a row that I went. I'm sure we've crossed paths, but sadly, there's so many people there, we never actually met. But I've seen him on the message boards over the years, and got a lot of knowledge and a great builder, and that's my buddy Pat Redmond. Pat, and this particular thing is on his channel. You see the kid playing with the cars. You know what, guys? Every time I see that, that makes me smile, because when I'm at this workbench, this is how I feel right here. And I hope you do too, because more than anything we do, it's all about having some fun. Pat, thank you so much. I appreciate the shop card. It is going in a place of honor. I do thank you. And if you haven't visited Pat's YouTube channel, get over there, show him some love, give him a subscription, and check out his videos. Great builder, great guy. Thanks again, Pat. Okay, before we get into the Lumina, let me talk to you about some of the tools I'm going to be using on this and why. The X-Acto goes without saying. I mean, if you're going to be a modeler, you got to have one of these for no matter what you do. In some of the smaller areas and that I'm going to be cutting away to put some screen into the air ducts and stuff, I have this little short knife that I picked up years ago somewhere, and I've got an angled blade that can help me get down in here nice and close. Of course, I'll drill very small, sorry about that, off camera, very small holes in these corners, and then I'll go back from the hole to hole and then cut those open. Then I'm going to use my X-Acto chisel blade. This is going to help get some of those roll bars out of here. And to cut the trunk open, so we'll be able to see the fuel cell details in there, we'll be using our scribing tool from Tamiya. And you've heard me rave about this, and probably seen a lot of other people do. I know Lucas E. has too, and Tim Kalankowitz. This makes things quick, easy, and clean. Great tool. And then some of the other little things, we're going to be using our photo etch blades, saw blades, and a lot of the cleanup, I'm going to be using my 3M spot sanding pen. If you've never seen one of these, I talked about this in a video probably a year ago, but the spot sanding pen is really good. There's a couple companies that make it, and the refills in the handle, and it's stiff fiberglass. I'll run it all the way out here. Fiberglass strands, and very stiff. But if you want to get into you can run it to a different length and get up in an area and sand away But the 3M sanding pen is an awesome tool. Awesome tool. I don't know if there's a project anymore that I don't use it on, but put your piece of paper down, because as you wear out the strands, they get everywhere. Okay, let's get over to this thing. As you can see, we've got a lot of things that need to be filled and sanded out. And I've already marked those. You see in the middle of the spoiler, the little red mark. Because what I want to do with this is what I've done on this one. This is off the monogram kit, is to put the split in the spoiler where the body template would go. And this one had a lot of bad stuff underneath it. So you can see I've got a lot of mud underneath that. But anyway, back to this one. Because we're going to do the short track car, and you see all of the black marks here, that's the stuff that needs to be sanded smooth. The red's where there's going to have to be a little putty put in. And down these sides, there's going to be a lot of putty put in. And I'm off camera again. Sorry, guys. I was thinking about puttying this up, but I think I'm going to open it up, actually. And you see here where all of this stuff's going to have to be removed. Where this hood originally had these 4 little pins that snapped in place. And again, we're converting a snap-together car. And these ridges on the side are so bad. I'm going to be filling all that in. And this turned out to be more of a problem than I thought. Not that it's a problem that I can't sand away, but I could actually, you know how sometimes you'll have a dimple in a body that you can run your hand across the top or wherever it is, and from the injection pin marks, you can feel a little dip. These roll bars have created a dip. You can run your finger down the side and feel the little loops there. So I'm going to have to put some putty all down this side, and I marked where that body line is so I can try to make sure I maintain that. I'm going to run that out a little further. But where you can run your finger down the side of this door, you can feel where those roll bars are molded in on the back side. So I'm going to have to level all of that up. Just more to do. And you see the injection pin marks underneath that are going to have to be sanded out. And again, our sanding pen is going to take care of those, no problem. Got a lot of evening up on the body, so there'll be a decent amount of body work, more than I had planned on, but that's okay. And of course, all of this has got to be trimmed out except for the cowl, or not cowl, but the radiator plate there. And glass. The glass for this car actually snaps in like this, and you have the 4 ridges, and my research shows most of RCRs had 3, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. And then you see it has 3 on the window unit for the monogram kit, which was a super speedway car. I really would like to do a short track car though, but as you can see, of course I haven't got these little lugs up here yet, but this looks like it is 32nd scale. It looks like it's a close fit. Right down here in the corners there's a little, I don't know if you can see, a little gap. So I'm going to see once I get that removed if that kind of cinches up. The other thing on the glass, I'm going to be cutting this side window, the upper window. I'm going to be cutting that out, and the reason is I want to use the back windows from the monogram kit because it has the NACA ducts molded into the windows, and as you can see, it appears that it fits in there nice and snug. So I'm gonna be cutting those away and seeing how we can get that to fit up, match up. So in addition to the, and I mentioned the roll bars, a lot of this has got to be trimmed up. After I remove these molded in roll bars and get the body smoothed out, I'll be removing a lot of these things, and we're going to be using, while we use the rest of the roll cage from the AMT kit, this monogram sidebars here, we'll be trimming a lot of this stuff off. But check this out. If you line those up with the door where they are in the, I hope you can see that, line those up. It's a great match all the way from the A pillar, B pillar, and of course, again, this is going to be cut off right here. We're not going to use this part. We'll use the AMT part, but that lines right up beautifully. And I keep tilting it where you can't see it. Sorry about that. But there you can see, really, really nice fit. And I'm glad they're both in 32nd scale. And of course, on the driver's side, the net will be removed. And I'll have that folded down and that kind of stuff. But really, really nice fit between the A and the B pillar. So that's going to work out really nice, it looks like right now. Famous last words. And on the engine, we're going to be doing 2 complete engines. And I ran into a little issue with the headers. I'm going to do something a little bit different. The headers from the kit, they're okay, they just look too small, and when I measured them, they measure at, well, let me get over here to it. I think it was 50 thousandths. Yeah, 50 thousandths. Oops. 50 thousandths, and I've got some solder that is 50 thousandths here, and I've held up the about 51 thousandths, but it says 50 thousandths on here. And the 3D printed headers that I have that I was going to modify, they're really not the right configuration, more of a hot rod than it is a stock car style header. Again, I don't know if you're able to see that, but I like how beefy, how much better these look, and I guess more to scale. And they are 62 thousandths. So, as you can see there, they're 62 thousandths. And so I also have a spool of 62 thousandths. And what I think I'm going to do, just to make sure that something's right, or they look right anyway, I'm going to use this as a template and going to go ahead and bend up the solder in both 50 thousandths and 62 thousandths. Then we'll get it up beside the engine and we'll see just how it looks. And of course, I've got to drill the ports in here and then the spark plug holes and all that stuff. I'm actually excited about this. At first I was thinking, what have I gotten myself into in this scale? But I'm actually kind of looking forward to it now. So we're going to get into that. I started looking at the scale as far as the belts and all go, and the pulleys. I was going to go ahead and machine some pulleys up. I want to paint these first. Look, I mean, look how thin this is. This is not a bad looking pulley set. So I'm thinking about painting this, painting at least 1 or 2 sets up in polished aluminum, and then doing the belts and just take a look at it and see how it looks. And I may do the belts, I don't know yet. And of course, you remember our Shapeways 3D printed carburetor there. And we'll be getting primer on all this stuff too, and our flywheel. The transmissions for both, I'm going to do one with a transmission on it to display and one without. I have not cut the linkage off and made that yet. And one of them, well, like I said, will be on the car. The other one, you see, I've already done a pilot hole here because I'm going to open that up where you'll have the spline and all in there, where it will go up to the back of the car. Valve covers, as you see here, I've decided to strip these things down and go with the RCR. I'm hoping the decal I have is going to work for it, because what these things come with are Moroso valve covers, and I doubt you can see that, but and I may put the heat shields back on. Oh, the other thing is, for that carburetor, I've gone ahead and made a mounting plate, which will go right here. I'm not really satisfied. I want it to have a little more dimension instead of just being flat straight across. As you see here, looking down the profile, it almost looks flat. And even that GM of the era had a little bit of a rise to it. So this thing is, I want to say 20 thousandths. The spacer I made, actually it's about 18,000. I'm thinking this thing needs to be about probably 30 thousandths, and so that carburetor will sit a little higher. So probably going to do that, so it'll be easier to do the fuel line. By the way, the fuel lines and a lot of the lines are going to be from ProTech. The smallest they make is like 18 thousandths in diameter. So a lot of the hex nuts and that kind of stuff are going to be that. And I also have some stuff from a craft store that when we get to that, I'll be showing that to you. That is going to be some of the lines. Exhaust system. This is the stock that comes with the AMT. Now, honestly, I think I'm going to use aluminum tubing to do whichever one I decide to do. And this is from the monogram kit. I'm going to probably, like I said, use aluminum to do these. I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to do. And of course, this will be cut away right here. It fits okay to the chassis. You see here the holes that are made for that, and it sticks out just a little. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And with this one, I'll line this up where the front would be, and that pops right in there pretty good too. And of course, the rest of my research is going to show. Come to find out, they ran them both ways, but trying to find out on it for a specific race, a short track, it could be either one. So we'll see. But I want to try to do that, and like I said, we'll be using some K&S tubing to make these. And so those are great templates there. And let me tell you, all of these holes in this thing for the snap parts, all that stuff's got to be filled in, and it is turning into a major planning beyond what I thought I had in my head. Woo. And of course, the seat, which is going to need some modifications. We talked about that little snap-in lug there is going to have to be removed. I'm not really a fan of all of these little checkerboard things in the seat there, so I'm probably going to be filling all of that in, and then we'll cut a little hole there for the photo etch seat belts where they go through. So and of course you see there's a injection mold spot back there. So that's where we are right now. I'm going to get started by drilling the pilot holes in here and getting some of this stuff cut open, and I'll be right back. You're correct if you answered Brett Bodine to the trivia question. Okay guys, we're back, and as you can see, we've got a good bit done. We've got all of this section removed here, and I've gone ahead and I drilled out those four corners and then filled in, or excuse me, opened up the air vents and ducts. I got some stuff in the grill yet to do, but if you notice up close, these were a little out of scale when I measured them and converted them over. They were a little bit out of scale, a little bit too wide. So I've got a piece of plastic, I think it's 40 by 80, to make those the right size, glued in. I've got to sand that back down, put a little bit of putty filler right around here, and then square that off a little more. As you can see in this picture right here, we've got all of those molded in roll bars removed from the inside. And if you remember where we had all of this, the reason for all this putty is those molded in roll bars caused dips, little waves in the side of the body. And when I hold this thing up after it's painted and look down the side, I want it to be nice and smooth. Smoothed out back here where all of those mold lines were. Of course, we got that same on the other side. And we'll got all of our bumper kind of evened up there. The rear bumper had a little dimple right here in it, so we've got that filled. It'll be the second sanding on it. I'll block it off, and then of course under the deck lid before we add our ribbing underneath here. And the same goes with the hood. And if you, as you see here in the pictures, we had a mold injection mark right here, and I haven't finished. You can see a little bit of the remnant there of the mounting pin. Well, I'm going to be doing my own mounting pins with the body bracing up underneath there, but all of this has to be squared off a little bit more, and I got a little bit more right there to get that injection mark out. There's just a trace of it right there. And we used our 3M sanding pen, spot sanding pen, to take care of all of those, as you see in this picture, those injection pin marks up on the roof. And we've got all of those removed. And I think we're looking pretty good. Now this body, by the way, is just like any other model car. It's a steering plastic, but I've got a little question with the chassis that comes in the kit. And by the way, you can see this is just a stock chassis the way it comes in the kit. There's no detail in the trunk, none of that stuff. And of course, you remember I've remodified this a little bit more to add a frame rail where the fuel cell will be dropping in, and I'm going to share that with you here in just a little bit before we close out this video. But there's a lot of modifications being have to made. But this plastic is a softer plastic. It's not like this. I don't know how to describe it, but it is different. It is different. But I think it's coming along pretty good. I have spent way far more time on this 32nd scale body than I ever thought I would. I probably will have, I've got at least 16 hours in this thing, if you can believe that, between all of this sanding and trying to keep it in scale, and filling this, sanding this, filling it again. This time we're going to block it, so hopefully that'll be the final sanding on that before we get primer on it. All of this stuff is finished on the inside with the exception of that. And like I said, I'll be putting a little putty in here, and I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and we'll be back. Okay guys, this video is starting to run a little longer than I wanted it to, so I'm going to wrap it up. Go over a few more things and we'll wrap it up for tonight. And I got a couple other things I want to do to the body, and then we'll get it in primer. But I want to share with you, I can't believe it, but I have, as of right now, 21 hours. That spans 2.5 days on a 1/32 scale body. I did not realize there was going to be as much to do. And just to highlight what we did was, of course, we had to clean up the injection marks and fill in the stuff on the trunk and the hood. And also, you can see where I went ahead and drilled out our hood pin holes, as well as the deck lid. And I also added, if you can see this, the hinges on the where the deck lid will be raised. You can see those, I hope you can see them, the hinges on both ends where they'll be propped up. And I went and added those as well to the hood. So we have that pretty much done. I've got to build the ribbing that'll be up underneath here, as you see in this picture from my 24th scale Lumina. Well, all of that will be replicated under here. Moving on to the body, of course, we did have to cut that deck lid out, and anytime you do that, there's a lot of cleanup along the edges on both sides, and that means up in here to get it level and smooth, as well as back here. You can see the hinge where these will be. Well, I hope you can see that. Right up to, well, if I can hold it still, will be there. So there's our hinges for the Era. Drilled out the fuel filler support and the overflow. We've got our bumper mounted. Got a little bit of putty to put down here to level everything out. Again, and there's those hinges on the other side, and got those up front too, and you can see again where we removed all this stuff, so we'll get a better fit on the windshield. Opened up all of this, filled in this, and got it nice and smooth. And what I've done is I've got a lot of these model car garage grill sets for 124th and 125th scale for different stock cars. Well, I took one, and typically you can see like this one for a Grand Prix. This, of course, on a 32nd scale, be just monstrously too big. But if I take and cut one of those across, it sits right over there. Well, wait a minute. I've got one here already cut out. And that's why I had to close that hole up there a little bit. And you can see the, well, I hope you can see the bolt heads, or the rivets. And, well, it's not necessarily level yet, but you're getting the idea here, I'm sure. Well, that is if I can get my own finger out of the way here. Anyway, and you'll be able to see, as you can see through that. And there'll be one of those on both sides. And I also found one of these. I've got one that's actually a little bit smaller, so I'm going to be doing that one as well. That will fit right over that. And it's a little, the other one I've got is a little bit smaller than this, but it's got all the rivet work on it as well. And as you can see, if I can get everything out of the way, and I've got something special in mind for the grill there too, and I've got to finish that up. But like I said, I've got 21 hours in this body already. There's a lot of stuff. And of course we had to remove those. Remember all that work we had to do to remove all that molded in roll bars on both sides, because remember we're going to be using the monogram side roll bars. And I've already test fit those to the chassis. Looks great. I've got a real surprise and a real short video coming up after this on some 3D printed items that is just fantastic. I did not get back on the engine because, like I said, to my surprise, I've got 21 hours roughly in the body, and I don't even have primer on it yet. I just can't believe how much I've had to do and sand and resand, and I finally got all those ridges out of there and got the little waves evened out. I probably have another hour on the body, and of course when we're converting a snap tight to a detail build, there's a lot of adjustments you've got to make. And then of course I'm using windows out of 2 different cars, but they work. So a lot of body mods, a lot more than I expected there to be. But honestly, even with all of that being said, this is fun, and that's what it's all about. Guys, if you're a subscriber, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, head on over, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. Don't miss out on any videos. Visit the Teespring store. Get yourself a Cup Series or a couple of Cup Series decals. And thank you for the guys, those that are buying the coffee mugs, the decals, and the t-shirts. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support more than you know. Guys, God bless. we will see you in the next day or so with a little update on this. And I've got, like I said, a 3D printing update I want to share with you. I think you'll be surprised. And I tell you, it is so cool. Talk to you in the next one, guys. God bless.